So we're in Ramadi. Our guy is Ambassador Stu Jones. He's in charge of the Al-Anbar Providence, the Sunni Triangle, everything political, the voting, everything that's going to happen. The things the agency wants to influence, the bags of money. We had all that. So the governor of Ramadi is who we really got to manipulate this guy. It's him and the provincial council. And so he needs to come to Camp Fallujah. I think Mattis was meeting there and our guy was meeting there. So it was the top Americans, military and civilian, meeting in Fallujah, at Camp Fallujah, for this meeting. Well, he didn't want to ride with us. We had been attacked so many times. He didn't want to ride with us. So he was going to have his driver drive from Ramadi to Fallujah. We were going to drive from Ramadi to Fallujah to this designated spot just north of Fallujah, just north of the Cloverleaf. We were going to pick him up and then take him on to Camp Fallujah, which would have been a couple miles. We would have been able to get him through security, into Fallujah so he could go to this meeting with all the top guys. So we all go 5 vehicles, full PSD, combat PSD, to Camp Fallujah, and 2 vehicles go back to get him and then come back to link up. So we get our principal, Ambassador Stu Jones, we get him, or it might have been Kidd by then, but we get our principal to the meeting, leave the majority team, then me and Snake and Rancher, who's a Delta guy. He was a battalion guy, did Best Ranger, then went on to the unit. And I forget who the other guy with him was, but Rancher was driving the limo. I was driving the lead. So we had a lead and a limo scenario because it was the governor, so we didn't have a full package. And so we're leaving the pickup, and we have to merge right, this long, like a mile long, merging right and up. It's going up onto the interstate. And if we would have went straight, we would have went right into Fallujah, where the Blackwater guys went in. Didn't come back. So it's that same intersection. So we're going right, and the armor blocks out noise. So you can get your ass handed to you, and it still doesn't seem that bad because you got an earplug in one ear and you got your surveillance kit in the other ear, and then you got the armor. So, you'd have to take a direct hit for it really to fuck up your hearing. And so we're driving up, and I love driving. So I was the AIC at the time, and Rancher was the shift leader. And so I'm driving the lead, he's driving the phone. So we get about halfway up, and I go, Snake, did you hear that? And he goes, yeah. When we come up over a little military convoy was getting their ass handed to them from Fallujah.
Wow.
And I merged right in the middle of it behind a 7-ton. So this 7-ton, this 50 cal, this guy's, he's Vietnam. He's heads down. And I know he was scared. He probably it was probably the first time he'd ever been attacked, and he was acting like it. But what scared me is just like when a woman goes crazy. When another American goes crazy, you can't shoot him back. You just got to let him do, just like when a woman goes, you can't really.
You got to let him do crazy. You just got to let it go out. It's like, you got to let him. You got to let the gas run out, man. Yeah, you got to let it run out.
So out of everything that I went through, that was the scariest I was. It was another American shooting into Fallujah, and I thought he was going to turn and see the BMW and go, terrorist, BMW.
Why? Because that was always the bolo too. It was
that
always
was the narrative.
That was the joke, man. It was always, what's the bolo today? It's probably a black BMW and a black Mercedes and maybe an Opel, white
That's
Opel.
what they were telling conventional forces. That's what they, special forces knew it, but they were telling conventional forces, be on the lookout for
everything Mercedes that we're driving.
So we did. I was in a thing with Stanford. I've been shot at 4 times by friendly fire, 4 different incidents. I was in some study in Stanford. But anyway,
that's crazy.
So just when I was ready to go, I got to do something other than be 20 meters behind this guy going 40. I went from 80 miles an hour to like 30 miles an hour because that's how fast he was going, and I didn't want to scare him.
Sure.
About that time, there was a huge explosion in front of his vehicle. And so what was happening, it looked like cannonballs were being fired at us and exploding. So the Afghanis learned how to make an RPG self-detonate at a kilometer.
The Afghani or
So-
wait, Afghanis or Iraqis?
Well, I heard it was the Afghanis created it, but they were doing it.
Well, that's how the Osama. That's I actually
Oh,
heard
yeah,
this from.
it may
I
have
was heard from
came-
Somalia when they took the Black Hawk down. The Somalis were, but that was sort of a Bin Laden. He was
Right,
Yeah,
so-
you're right.
so
you're
he
right,
spent a
yeah.
lot of
You're
time
right.
there.
You're right. No,
No,
you're right.
yeah. So that's what was happening. They were 1,000 meters. They were a kilometer back, shooting like tons of art. There was shit blown up everywhere. So one of them hit the front left of this the thing, and they hit their brakes, and my instinct took over. I just hit the gas. I'd been driving long enough, doing PS long enough. The instinct is when something goes wrong is to stop, slow down, be safe. When you know that you understand protection at the tier 1 level, you know that it's opposite, to go against your instinct and do the opposite.
You're in the kill
so-
zone. You're in the kill zone. You're just thinking
That's right.
drive.
Well,
drive.
and it wasn't the first time. That video that's online shows it another scenario. The last thing you can do is block the limo.
Sure.
Like the last thing, the limo driver, whatever he does, he's always right.
Yeah.
And everybody around him has to be able to adjust. So anyways, so we go right, push past it. Now we're clear. We're clear of the Fallujah cloverleaf. We're headed back towards Ramadi because the roads have been blocked off by the military ever since the killing of the Blackwater guys. They controlled that cloverleaf and shut a lot of it down. So the plan was to go down about a half a mile or so, do a U-turn, come back by Fallujah, back by where we picked him up, back by the cloverleaf,
Sure.
go down about a mile or so, exit, and go to Camp Fallujah, which was northeast. That was the only way to get to it. So after this attack, I punched right, and you know how it is. You talk on the car radios when you're out, but we were so close together. I was on the surveillance kit, on my surveillance kit, driving. So I was like, Rancher, this is Sonny. He's like, go ahead, Sonny. I said, you still want a U-turn? He's like, Roger that, Sonny. I go, U-turn in now. And I turn, and the car kind of settles, and I see Rancher's face come flying up, and we look at each other, and then I look back at Snake, and I go, holy fuck. And I hit the gas. I leaned down. I pulled the steering wheel in. You couldn't see me or Snake. We were down so far. I was just hoping the car didn't run off the road. So when I had to drive under the 50 cal that was on the other side of the road now, and the damn RPGs are still coming from Fallujah, and we're getting ready to drive through that without another care in the world. And so we did. And when we got done, the moral of the story was the governor of Ramadi didn't want to ride with us because he thought we would get attacked, and we got attacked anyways.
You got attacked. That's too bad.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. And
So
and
there's
those
stuff like that.
and it's I just looking. I can imagine you guys seeing each other and looking at each other as you pass, and the faces you make that are just hilarious. And there's it's jackassery on the 110th level, man. But it's fun, and it's dangerous. But it's so ludicrous that it's funny. And you're driving.
If you can have wit naturally during a scenario like that, you got something. You got something that that's what you need.
Boy.